Time to get in Enrico Piperno, former coach of the Indian men's and women's tennis teams, to analyze the quarterfinal results from Tuesday. Rico, in fact, stayed up the whole night in Kolkata to watch that game. You know, Rico, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, you called it a match made in heaven when you set up Nadal versus Djokovic last evening. I got to ask you, were you entertained?
Well, the quality of the tennis was not as good as probably some of the earlier matches, at least initially. But from 6-2 3-love, Djokovic was very much the underachiever. But at 3-love in the second set, he suddenly sprung to life. And I think those 6 games post that were probably one of the most intense 6 games I've watched in international tennis in a very, very long time. There were games that took 15 minutes, 18 minutes to be completed on each one's serve, and they were just brutal. So that period of the match, that second set from 3-love down to eventually winning the set, was probably the most spectacular tennis I've probably ever seen in a long time.
And that's saying a lot, Rico. You've seen a lot of tennis, but we sort of got to doff our hats to Rafael Nadal. You know, we sort of have to believe him when he says that the foot injury is serious, yet he goes on and plays back-to-back 4-hour matches, and importantly, he gets the job done.
Yeah, the man is a superhuman. I don't know how he does it and where he finds the energy and the sort of concentration that he has over these long periods of time. And to continue playing that sort of level for extended periods of time at his age is pretty phenomenal. So hats off to the guy. You know, we kept talking earlier, Dicky, we kept saying he's played a match for 5 hours. Will he recover? He not only recovered, he got stronger. So that sort of explains Rafael Nadal to you, probably one of the greatest athletes this planet has ever seen. And, again, at the end of the day, the way he plays, the sort of effort that goes into him hitting a ground stroke from that far back of the baseline, there's so much more that he does than most ordinary players. And then to do it the way he does is just absolutely phenomenal.
But just listening to him, Rico, how serious does it sound? You know, you've got friends on the tour, you've got your fellow players who are playing over there. What are you hearing from your mates? Is Rafael Nadal thinking about retirement?
Well, what I've been hearing is that this is this final year. That's what a few people who've been on the tour have told me. And that's the sort of feeling that most of the players are getting. But that all depends on how they're feeling probably towards the end in November, December, If he's had a good year and his body's sort of held out, then he'll say, why not? Let's just continue for another year if possible. So I think he's going to take it. I think his intention is to call it, but that will only probably be decided once post-US Open time, coming towards the end of the season.
Okay, he could end this year with at least 2 Grand Slam titles, so you never know. Now, Novak Djokovic, Rico, came into the match having saved 14 of the 17 break points that he faced in the tournament. Nadal broke him twice in the first 3 sets. It's difficult to come back when you're losing your serve right at the start of a set. What do you think has gone wrong and what's been going wrong over the last couple of Grand Slams for him?
Well, I thought he was, I get a feeling now that there's a little bit of a tension in the Novak Djokovic camp with regards to winning the next Grand Slam. Because what has been sort of disappointing is that he's come out, he's been playing poorly, he's making the wrong choice of shots. And, something I've never seen in his game before or ever in Novak Djokovic's career. He's picking shots which are sort of amateurish at times. There were certain times in that first set when Nadal played a drop shot and he kind of came out to reach out for it and made the most incredibly stupid sort of return back which gave Nadal an easy put away. So I don't know whether this 21st Grand Slam is playing on his mind a lot and is sort of getting under his skin, because for that, at least a set and a half, let me tell you, Diggy, he was just not himself. It was a very poor Novak Djokovic.
And how many times have we heard someone say that Novak Djokovic had a very poor game? Now, Alcaraz, who was one of the pre-tournament favourites, is out. I'll get to that game shortly, Rico. So is the 22nd Grand Slam Rafael Nadal's to lose, or does Alexander Zverev have it in him to beat the great man on his birthday?
I think it'll be very difficult for Zverev to beat him. I also thought that Alcaraz was a little overawed by the situation and the fact that Zverev did play really well, a combination of both. But is Zverev good enough to beat Nadal and Philippe Chatrier over 5 sets? I just don't see it. Talking about the Alcaraz match, I was a little disappointed with Alcaraz again early on in the match, but I really thought that his game plan sort of changed in this quarterfinal. Whatever I've seen so far of Alcaraz has been that he's been very aggressive off the ground. He likes to go for it and very, very positive ground stroker. And for some reason in this match, I got a feeling that he was holding back a little bit. He was keeping the ball in play. He was waiting for Zverev to make the errors, which did not happen. And, he went so far behind the 8 ball, he went 2 sets down, and then, to climb back from there always became a monumental task. He did well post that. I think from the 3rd set onwards, he played really well, but that was not good enough. So, of course, I'm sure that experience will help him become a better player. And maybe he's just not ready to win a Grand Slam at present.
Yes, he says he's going to take the lessons on board. But just talking about Zverev, Rico, 11 matches before this at Grand Slams, and he never had a win against a top 10 player. You can't win Grand Slams unless you beat the best in the business. You somehow need to win one match to get a run going. And do you think that this win over Alcaraz is sort of going to push him into past that final hurdle? Because, hey, he's 26 and he needs to be winning Grand Slams now. Is this sort of his best opportunity?
When I think about this, Diggy, it comes to my mind that, the generation of the Djokovic, Nadal and Federer, the 35 plus generation, the 35 plus generation. If you look back at it, the next generation, the Zverevs and the Themes and those sort of guys, Dimitrovs and all these sort of guys who are 26, 27, they've not really reached the potential that we all thought they would. We really believed at that time that they would be the next takeover from the big boys, but they never really did that. I think time's running out for Zverev. If he doesn't perform in the next year or two, winning a Grand Slam, I can't see him winning one down the road. And I don't know whether he's consistent enough. He plays 4, 5, 6, 7 points extremely well. Then he plays 4, 5 poor points. So this is something that's been plaguing him for a very long time. Every time I watch him play, he can be so impressive for about 15 minutes and then all of a sudden just drop off and start double faulting. His serve is a huge issue and stuff like that. So I'm not really sure whether Zverev has got it in him to win a Grand Slam. So I really believe now it's Nadal's to lose. If you look at the draw and the way it's set up, it's Nadal's to lose, really.
Henrique Peperno, thanks as always for your time and patience. Looking forward to seeing now more sort of edge of the seat thrillers in the final few days of the Grand Slam. As you said, Nadal has raised the bar and this is his Grand Slam to lose.